Welcome, everyone. Today, we are diving into a comprehensive review of arterial line monitoring. In this first part of the video, we will explore why arterial lines are used, when they are indicated, and how they are placed. Why do we place arterial lines? While non-invasive blood pressure cuffs are excellent for routine monitoring, an indwelling arterial catheter remains the gold standard for continuous hemodynamic assessment. Unlike a blood pressure cuff, which provides intermittent readings, an arterial line delivers real-time, beat-to-beat blood pressure measurements. This continuous monitoring eliminates the potentially dangerous gaps between cuff cycles, allowing clinicians to detect and respond immediately to rapid hemodynamic changes. The primary indications for arterial line placement fall into two categories: hemodynamic monitoring and diagnostic purposes. Hemodynamically, an arterial line is indicated in patients requiring continuous blood pressure monitoring and frequent titration of vasoactive medications. Diagnostically, it is used when frequent arterial blood sampling is required, such as in patients with respiratory failure, severe metabolic disturbances, shock, or those requiring serial arterial blood gas analysis during major surgery or mechanical ventilation. When initiating invasive arterial monitoring, selecting the appropriate cannulation site is a critical first step. Several potential vessels are evaluated based on clinical context, but the primary goal remains consistent: finding a superficial, accessible artery with robust collateral blood flow. The radial artery is widely considered the preferred site for arterial line insertion. A superficial path over the distal radius makes the vessel highly accessible for palpation and ultrasound visualization. A major clinical advantage is the dual blood supply to the hand, as the ulnar artery typically provides robust collateral flow to mitigate the risk of distal ischemia. Proper positioning is essential to stabilize the vessel and improve first-pass success rates. Before radial artery cannulation, an Allen's test is performed to assess the patency of the ulnar artery and confirm adequate collateral blood flow to the hand. The patient repeatedly clenches and unclenches the fist to exsanguinate the hand while both the radial and ulnar arteries are compressed, producing blanching of the palm. The ulnar artery is then released while compression of the radial artery is maintained. If normal color returns within 5 to 15 seconds, the test is positive, indicating adequate collateral circulation and that radial artery cannulation can safely proceed. If the hand remains pale or color returns slowly, the test is negative, suggesting inadequate collateral flow and the need to select an alternative access site. However, studies have shown that the Allen test has limited diagnostic validity, with a sensitivity of 77% and specificity of 93%. It fails to predict ischemic hand events after arterial puncture and has only 71.5% inter-observer agreement. Therefore, it is not a reliable screening tool for assessing collateral circulation or predicting hand ischemia. A modified version of Allen's test called Barbeau test or pulse oximetry-based Allen's test is more sensitive than the traditional Allen's test in evaluating collateral circulation. For this test, a pulse oximeter is placed on the patient's thumb or index finger, and the radial artery is compressed. The pulse oximetry waveform is analyzed for up to 2 minutes before and after compression. The Barbeau test classifies the waveform response into 4 types. Type A with no damping of pulse waveform before or after compression. Type B with damping with compression and normalization after releasing compression. Type C with complete loss of waveform with recovery within 2 minutes, and Type D with persistent loss of waveform. Types A, B, and C suggest adequate collateral circulation, making the patient suitable for transradial access. However, a Type D waveform indicates poor collateral flow and is a contraindication due to the risk of hand ischemia. However, emerging evidence suggests a shift away from the Allen and Barbeau test towards more objective techniques, such as Doppler ultrasound. Contraindications to ABG sampling can be grouped into absolute and relative contraindications. Absolute contraindications include performing ABG sampling at a site with local infection such as cellulitis or abscess, as this risks systemic spread of infection. Another absolute contraindication is the presence of an arteriovenous fistula or vascular graft in the target limb, as puncture can compromise vascular integrity. Limbs affected by severe peripheral vascular disease with absent pulses or critical ischemia should generally be avoided. Relative contraindications require careful risk-benefit assessment before proceeding. An abnormal Allen's test indicating inadequate collateral circulation contraindicates radial artery puncture due to ischemic risk. Patients with severe coagulopathy and thrombocytopenia or those receiving thrombolytics or anticoagulation therapy have increased bleeding risk. Anatomic distortion from scarring, hematomas or prior multiple punctures also constitutes a relative contraindication. In cases of hypotension or shock where peripheral pulses are non-palpable, alternative sites should be considered. Ultrasound guidance can mitigate many relative contraindications by enabling precise vessel localization, particularly in those with challenging anatomy. Now, let's discuss arterial line insertion and the setup for invasive blood pressure monitoring. Proper preparation is essential before beginning the procedure. All necessary equipment should be gathered beforehand, including full sterile barriers, antiseptic solution, local anesthetic, and an arterial catheter kit, which may be either an over-the-needle catheter or a guidewire-based Seldinger kit. The pressure monitoring system should also be prepared in advance, consisting of pressure tubing connected to a transducer and a saline flush bag pressurized to 300 mm of mercury. This continuous slow flush prevents blood from backing up into the tubing and helps maintain catheter patency. For radial arterial cannulation, position the arm flat on a bedside table with the wrist slightly hyperextended over a rolled towel to bring the artery closer to the skin surface. Prepare the site with chlorhexidine and allow it to dry completely for at least 1 minute, as a wet antiseptic solution can make the pulse more difficult to palpate and reduces its antiseptic effectiveness. Next, infiltrate a small skin wheel of lidocaine. This not only improves patient comfort but also helps minimize pain-induced arterial vasospasm, making cannulation easier. In adults, the Seldinger technique is the standard method for arterial cannulation. Using your non-dominant hand to palpate the arterial pulse, or ultrasound to visualize the artery, insert the needle through the skin at a 30 to 45 degree angle toward the vessel. Entry into the artery is confirmed by a flash of bright red, pulsatile blood. At this point, do not advance the needle any further. Gently pass the guide wire through the needle into the artery. The wire should advance smoothly without resistance. If resistance is encountered, stop immediately, as this may indicate the wire is entering the vessel wall or causing arterial dissection. Once the guide wire is in place, withdraw the needle, thread the catheter over the wire into the artery, remove the guide wire, and secure the catheter. In smaller children, or when a Seldinger kit is not available, arterial cannulation can also be performed using the over-the-needle technique, similar to standard intravenous cannulation. The needle and catheter are advanced together until arterial blood is obtained, after which the angle is lowered and the catheter is advanced into the vessel. Once the catheter is successfully placed, its hub is connected to the primed pressure monitoring tubing. At this stage, all connections must remain secure to maintain a closed system and prevent air from entering the circuit. Strict aseptic technique is also essential to minimize the risk of catheter-related bloodstream infection. After the connection is established, the monitoring system is set up and calibrated through several important steps, as illustrated in the diagram. Understanding this setup requires knowledge of fluid mechanics, transducer physics, and arterial waveform analysis, along with troubleshooting techniques, which we will explore in detail in the next video.